we start with the national championship. Indiana takes down Miami to culminate what was an awesome college football playoff with a really, really good national championship game to hoist the school's first ever national championship trophy. IU finishes a perfect and, to be totally honest, incomprehensible 16-0. Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman and the MVP. Curt Cignetti gets to finally smile and enjoy a few post-game beers. We had Curt Cignetti on the show, Big Ten Media Day. Indiana was coming off what was an incomprehensible season last year, going 11-1 before losing in the playoff, but they had gotten blown out. They were 102-1 to win the championship. And I think most people thought, obviously Cignetti's a very good coach. It's amazing already what he did in Indiana. Last season was probably as good as it'll get. Yeah. You know, they'll settle into being 9-3, 10-2, which would, for Indiana,
would be
make him. They'd build a statue for him. So this was literally 4 months ago, at least to me, incomprehensible. Danny, how will you remember this Indiana team?
As the team that recalibrated what is possible in the sport. Like, this is something that could not have happened before NIL and the transfer portal. It was impossible. They're a basketball school. They did not prioritize football. They did not have the money for football. They did not really care about football. But they get the right coach, and they get the right money backers. I mean, Mark Cuban he's got the money, and he's backing the team.
Can I ask something out there real quick before you go? But this isn't a Phil Knight or T. Boone Pickens situation. Like, it's not as if Indiana is spending more on NIL than any other.
They just bought a championship.
And so I just want people to understand, yes, that changed it. But they were not the most expensive roster, and they didn't pillage Georgia and Alabama in the transfer portal.
That's not what I'm saying, though. The system that has set up for those types of things to happen has just now leveled the playing field.
Sure.
And Indiana took advantage of it in a way that in the old system, the history of college football, Indiana would have never been able to take advantage of it with that way. So, like, it just changed everything, man. Like, they have a great coach, a great quarterback. They took advantage of the system, and it gives hope for whatever program you root for. If you care about college sports, like that Syracuse could win a national championship in football, that whatever your fill in the blank, punching bag, they were the losingest program ever. The most, number one, most losses. And so we could talk about the quarterback and the coach and the ways at which they played it, but how will I remember it 20 years from now? As one of the most unlikely champions in all of sport, but also in this sport specifically, the one that showed everyone else that it was possible.
Well, it'll probably put more pressure on these coaches at these mediocre schools. Like now at Syracuse, it's like, if you can't get us into the playoff in 5 years, what are you doing? Yeah. We just watched Curt Cignetti do what he did at Indiana. So it could be a double-edged sword for some of these coaches. But to me, I'm sitting here, and as I was watching Cignetti on the highlight there at the press conference, I'm just thinking, and I've been thinking this, how did he do such a great coaching job? And I'm not saying I didn't think he was a good coach. I'm just saying this coaching job is fantastic.
They never missed a tackle. When they committed a penalty, you were shocked. They never turned the ball over. Like all of the things we attribute to coaching.
And just to lift a program, I get it. You're right. There were a lot of transfers, but transfers from James Madison.
Right.
Last night, they said on the broadcast, they were giving up 53 pounds per person on the offensive versus defensive line. Like, because Miami's offensive line is huge. Like, I mean, it was, and then to blow out Alabama, to blow out Oregon, to beat what many would say was a more talented Miami team, right, in this game. Like, I'm sitting here like, this is incredible. And we obviously have had some fantastic coaches. what he did, it's just hard for me to fathom when you look at where the transfers came from, where the quarterback came from, all of that, where Indiana's program has been historically, and he immediately turns them around. And then the second year, they win the national championship, pretty much going away. And to be the first team since the 19th century, since the late 19th century, to go 16-0. This is, Nick, one of the best. This could go down. They're not the best team ever, but this could go down as the best college football season ever. 16-0. Tough schedule.
Well,
you beat Penn State and you ran through Ohio State, or you beat Ohio State, ran through these teams in the playoffs.
They beat Ohio State to get the number 1 overall seed. They then annihilated Alabama, annihilated Oregon, and then beat Miami head up when Miami had been arguably, after September, the second best team in college football.
In Miami Stadium.
In Miami Stadium.
Right.
Miami, who had gone through a gauntlet to get there and outplayed one at A&M and beat Ole Miss. Miami beat Ohio State. It was a start to finish as close to a perfect game as you can pitch as a team. All year long, they didn't lose the turnover battle once. The entire season, which we can show you the graphics on this. So this century, them in Florida State, pretty good. In the playoff, again, it's 3 games, but no one else prior to 2 years, last year, had played more than 2. They never trailed in the playoff. It's them and the 2020 Bama team that, again, that's only 2 games.
Right.
So every other team, even though they'd only played 2 games in the college football playoff era, had trailed at some point. You win the championship and have the Heisman Trophy winner. That's only happened 5 times this century. And those are all, for different reasons, very memorable, iconic teams or seasons from the player. And it also, you were talking about what it means for Syracuse. It reframes things like, I'm not trying to pick on the guy because I've been critical. Lane Kiffin saying, gotta leave Ole Miss if I want to win a national. Ole Miss's football history compared to Indiana's. Ole Miss's recruiting base compared to Indiana's is laughable.
And I think that is Kiffin misreading it. I don't think that's him using that as an excuse to go to LSU. I think that's him misreading the climate.
But I totally agree with you. But this football year, pro and college, has been a real reminder. If you have the right coach and the right quarterback, you are instantly competitive. Whether it's the Chicago Bears with Ben Johnson and Caleb, it's the Patriots with Mike Vrabel and Drake May. You guys get mad at me. It's the Jags with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. It's Indiana with Kurt Cignetti and Fernando Mendoza.
Like Big Four.
No, I'm just saying teams that all of those teams, except for Indiana actually, last year were 4-win teams. Yeah. And they transformed it. And so it will. I'm from the Midwest. What Bill Snyder did at Kansas State, which had been the worst program ever, was considered the greatest job in college football history because he took a team from the depths Indiana was at and made them a perennial top 25 team that twice late in the year, it's like, could they play for a national championship? And it's considered the greatest job ever. This guy is 27-2 with a title 2 years in.
In a 3-game playoff.
Right.
It's not just
the whole gauntlet. All right, let's talk about his quarterback for a second before we get to Danny's top 10. So, whole Raiders front office. Tom Brady, our colleague. GM John Spytek. Owner Mark Davis. Head coach might have been in attendance too. We don't know who that is. Who knows? Raiders have the number 1 pick in April's draft. Danny, do you think Fernando Mendoza can turn the Raiders around?
Does he seem like a Raider?
I don't know. He did drop an F-bomb. He praised God and dropped an F-bomb yesterday.
That was shocking. I got to be honest. He is going to be the number 1 pick. I'm almost positive he will be the number 1 pick of the Raiders, but just like his personality and vibe and aura with the history of the Raiders.
But
like,
who's the last
Vegas.
excellent Raiders quarterback? Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon is a very nice guy.
Yeah. I'm just saying, optically,
you're looking for the next Kenny Stabler.
Kind of. Like, I'm just saying optically it's a little weird, but I do think Brady would see all of the things that Mendoza seems to represent in terms of between the ears and what you said about intangibles. I'm sure he's going to be a Raider. I would just say they don't have a lot of talent, and in a year where there are not a lot of quarterbacks, if there is a surefire number 1 pick quarterback, you probably could get 5 or 6 teams bidding on trading up to get him. It makes the pick more valuable, even if he isn't the level of prospect.
Because there isn't a second place. That part I agree with. That even if he's an 8 out of 10 prospect versus a 9.5 out of 10, if the second best quarterback is a 4 out of 10, that's me.
Does everybody,
everybody
think he's an 8? I mean, this year has been great, and so.
But he's clearly the number 1 quarterback in the class. If the number 2 is Ty Simpson, then there isn't a number 2 that's worthy of a top 10 pick.
Well, the odds makers say he is a 70-1 favorite right now to go first overall.
Yeah.
Right, you got to bet $70 to win one. He's going first overall, probably to the Raiders. I personally would shop the pick. Because if he isn't that level of prospect as like a 10 out of 10 guy, and you might be able to hold the whole league hostage because of how many teams need a quarterback, and we just saw what the Bears did in the trade with the Panthers, and I understand they ended up getting the number 1 pick back for Caleb. It's just, I would not turn in the card today if I was the Raiders, because I do think that you could host a bidding war.
No, look, it never hurts to listen and see what you could get, because obviously they need help in a lot of places. But right now, my thinking would be I'm drafting him. I'm not trading the pick. And again, I would listen. But quarterbacks, I don't want to say crapshoot, in the draft. But obviously, it's hard. Nobody is a surefire hit. But he's 6'5", 225. He's got the size. And I love, as you said, Dan, the intangibles that he has. We saw that touchdown run. He's got heart. He's got toughness. He is accurate. He's got, he makes quick decisions. He processes well. Like, the mental things it takes to succeed in the NFL, he does have. And with his size, he doesn't have the strongest arm, but it's strong enough. And his athleticism is athletic enough. So I would go with him and see if I can turn him into my franchise quarterback, because if you get that, then you can put the pieces around him. And they already have a few pieces.
Danny knows the Raiders are going to take him.
They're going to take him.
Danny just doesn't want another quarterback in the AFC West that doesn't melt in the playoffs. He's now seen Bo Nix. Bo Nix just played a better playoff game than Justin Herbert's dreamt about.
As ever.
Fernando Mendoza just played 3 straight better playoff games than Herbert's ever had. We know who Mahomes is. It's just his nightmare.
I just don't need these drive-bys on Herbert. I haven't brought him up in 2 whole days.
Well, of course.
His nightmare. All right, Danny. Time now for Top 10 Tuesday. Just 4 teams remain, which makes a top 10 list of teams impossible. Danny had to get creative this week's edition of Top 10 Tuesday.
It's not the 10 best players. It's the 10 players who are going to have the biggest impact on Championship Sunday.
You love this. You love Devin Witherspoon.
Devon Witherspoon. Devon was out of Illinois, 2nd team All-Pro.
Oh, okay. There
Illinois is a small piece of it. Listen, Puka Nacua, I would never forget about Puka Nacua, but Puka Nacua has dominated the Seahawks in their 2 matchups. But when Witherspoon was the closest guy to him, 1 catch in the 2 games. So he's got Devontae and Puka. He makes a big impact in that spot. If he can limit one of those guys, he's going to be great. Number 9, I'm cheating a little bit. The Broncos running backs. They only had 10 carries last week. They're hoping to get J.K. Dobbins back. If you've got Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, you probably need a little bit of a running game. They were a great rushing offense the first half of the year. Since week 10, they're the 28th ranked rush offense in the NFL. Get J.K. Dobbins back, help out Stidham. That'd be big for them. Coming in at number 8, Jackson Smith and Jigba. This is just he has been, for him, oddly quiet in his production the last 3 games, but over the course of the whole season, we have not seen a receiver dominate his share of the offense in over a decade in the NFL. He attributed for 44% of their passing offense, JSN. You go back for receivers, highest percentage of teams' yards.
Shout out Brandon Marshall.
You got to go back to Brandon Marshall in 2012. 2 Bears receivers.
How on earth is this an all-time receiver stat that 2 of the top 4 are Bears receivers?
I'm as shocked as anybody, but it really speaks to, like, they just had one good receiver, and then lack of depth, and they just throw to that guy the whole time. So JSN, he can make a big impact on Championship Sunday. Hot take, I know. Coming in at number 7, the Patriots offensive line.
This is such cheating.
Well,
you're going to got 20 people on your top 10.
So it's kind of like a mountain.
Yeah.
If you look at the Patriots offensive line, specifically the left side of the offensive line, big yikes. Will Campbell, top 5 pick. The left side of the offensive line allowed 124 pressures this year. Right side only 74. Going against the Broncos pass rush. Going to be a huge story in this game. Patriots O-line needs to step up. Number 6, our first quarterback makes the list, Jarrett Stidham. If I carried the 1 and added the 2, this is the number of pass attempts for Jarrett Stidham this year. There'd be 0. One of 2 teams where their backup quarterback did not even throw a pass all season. It's the fewest starts ever for a career for a guy making a start on Championship Sunday. Stidham only has 4 career starts. Who's
the other team? Do you know?
It would be the Rams.
Oh, wow.
With a backup quarterback who did not throw a pass.
It's the Rams? Oh, okay.
Said it right there on the graphic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Pay attention. Coming in at number 5, Kenneth Walker III.
Oh, yeah.
Charbonnet's injury, keep Stafford off the field, had the monster game last week with 116 yards. Obviously the ACL tear for Charbonnet. They're going to depend on Walker tremendously in this game. And number 4, Nick Bonitto. I think the league the league definitely knows. I think the general public knows. Their sacks certainly got a ton of attention this year as a team, but this guy is just a bona fide superstar. When you combine pressures and then actual production, 14 or more sacks, 75 or more pressures, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, and Nick Bonitto. He's going to be lining up over Will Campbell a ton. That home crowd, that noise, Bonitto could have an absolutely monstrous game. And then at number 3, the run on quarterbacks begins. Drake May, in the regular season, spectacular. Might win the MVP. In the playoffs, 4 touchdowns, 5 turnovers, 6 fumbles, 3 lost. Drake May going to need to get it done, expected to get it done, given Jarrett Stidham is on the other side. Coming in at number 2, everyone's All-American, Matt Stafford. He's got 3 road playoff wins with the Rams. He's got 7 wins overall. He's obviously spectacular, but he's going up against the Mike McDonald defense. And coming in at number 1, most impactful player on Championship Sunday, it's Sam Darnold. He either changes the narrative completely, but right now he's on this list. Quarterbacks who have struggled in 2 matchups. Lowest passer rating against a divisional opponent, team that you play twice in 1 year.
Yikes.
J.J. McCarthy against Green Bay.
That's Darnold against the Rams?
Yeah, almost saved this one for Pack Stats. It was that good. Geno against the Chargers. So he has not been good, obviously, against the Rams.
That's a tragic triumvirate, man, and Geno's my guy.
So it's going to go one way or the other for Darnold here. Not great company. Brew?
I'm gonna move Stidham up just because obviously he's gonna be a huge factor in this game. But if the guy that created the list can cheat, so can I. I'm throwing a coach on, Sean Payton. Sean Payton's got a backup quarterback, and he's going to have to figure out a strategy. He's going to have to figure out a strategy to minimize Stidham.
Okay.
And obviously the run game is going to be huge. You're going to have to run against the Patriots, and then your defense is going to have to shut down Drake May, keep it low scoring, so Stidham doesn't have to be too big of a factor.
I agree, Brew. He's not a player. he's a coach, but he will have a big impact.
Your top 10 players,
who are going to have
which actually, at a minimum, is 15 guys. Because the 7th player is 5 people, and the 9th player is at least 2.
Right.
That's right.
Somehow, only has 1 Los Angeles Ram
quarterback
and does not have Puka Nacua.
Well, yeah.
Who I'm going to go, where is Puka Nacua? To which I'm going to give you the option to either spend 30 seconds explaining the indefensible or look into the camera and tell America he was on your initial list and then you edited it and you forgot to put him back on it.
Or you think he's not that impactful?
Listen, I think it's just a given that Puka Nacua is going to have a great game. It's like a baseline expectation. It's too obvious.
You just said Devin Witherspoon held him to you're like when Devin Witherspoon
it's a
was
big
within
assignment
6
for
inch radius of him.
Witherspoon. Listen, I don't.
I think
it's so
Puka Nacua
obvious.
is important.
Yeah, I think he's important too.
Is important.
I think he matters. Is it possible that in my initial text, Puka was on there, and in the final draft, he was not? It's possible. But the thing is, Willie Cologne's outside, and we've got to go.
Okay, well, yeah.
So I've been asked in some interviews, I've been heckled with it on social media, like, oh, your team's going to regress. You know, Caleb can't do all of those things. He can't live with those miraculous plays. And so the question is, will the Bears pick up right where they left off? And I will just say, I'll concede it. They are going to be a very popular pick for regression. But here's the two places I think that they are most likely to regress. Leading the league in takeaways, they had 33. That probably will not happen again. There's not a ton of year-to-year consistency on that in the NFL. And an underrated thing that we're not talking about much on the show, but Coach, you guys will both really respect this actually. They were remarkably healthy on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Left guard to right tackle.
Especially after the year they had prior to that.
Right. Last year was a disaster.
Right.
This year, we can show it just real quick so you can see it. I mean, 4 of their 5 starters played 94% of the snaps or more. That's one of 4 teams in the NFL with 4 players at just the 90% threshold or more. So those two things are likely to regress. But what is going to get better is their offense. Caleb Williams will be better. Luther Burden will be better. Colston Loveland will be better. Rome Odunze will be better. And so will some things regress? Yes, but I would imagine Caleb Williams and his talent, year 3 in the NFL, year 2 in the system, will be enough to cover for some of the points where I completely agree they will step back, Coach.
Yeah, one of the biggest fallacies in sports is the idea that you get to start where you left off. And I think it's one of the biggest mistakes that teams make. And after we won our first Super Bowl, we thought that we could, to some degree, go roll the ball out there. And we were the New England Patriots, right. and teams were going to lay down for us. But the truth is that you've got to do all the things that you did well the year before, but you've got to do them better because people prepare for you differently. They look at the games differently. They study you harder. And that they're not taking the Bears for granted, like I'm sure a lot of people did early on, and they're not going to sneak up on anybody. And the other part of it is a good friend of mine, Teddy Atlas, the boxing trainer, he used to always say, success is like a martini, it relaxes you. and that's something that you got to learn too. In athletics, we teach guys how to deal with adversity. There's not a lot of teaching on how to deal with success and understanding how to make sure that you still approach things even though you have had those positive experiences.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you talked about regression. I think if you look in the division itself, you're talking about their 2 rivals in the Green Bay Packers and Minnesota Vikings. They're regressing, right? Because Jeff Hafley is now the Dolphins head coach, and Brian Flores is looking for his next spot. And I also think right now, if you're the Bears, I'm on your side. I feel like Caleb is no longer a secret to anybody. But on top of this, springboarding off their success, it's okay if their campaign going into next season is Super Bowl bust. I'm fine with that being their theme, considering that you talk about the offensive line, you talk about the weapons. They got to figure out what the hell happened to DJ Moore. I think they didn't get enough out of him. But defensively, Dennis Allen walked into the season saying, hey, this is all we have. It's all eyes on getting Caleb better and revamping this offense. Now you go into this offseason saying, all right, look what we have on defense. How can we make that better? Who are we going to keep? Who are we going to let go? And put some money where they can actually get a pass rush and beef up the interior of this defensive line for the Bears. If that's the case, I feel the Bears can be in the NFC Championship because you got Caleb in year 3 under Ben Johnson's system.
Yeah, I just want to see how Caleb reacts this offseason. Because remember, he came in the league, he told the punter, don't worry about it, you're not going to have to punt. He had all of that.
He was a year early on that.
Yeah, he had all of that overconfidence. And look, the confidence is a great thing. Arrogance is what eventually gets you beat. And going into this offseason, does he realize all the things he still has to work on? Is he going to every single day be doing that? Or are we going to see 15 commercials, all the other stuff besides the work?
Yeah, I will just say, so I've watched every press conference the guy's given this year, and shortly after they lost that game to the Rams, he was talking about how he's got to work on his footwork this offseason so that he can improve his accuracy, and he can't wait to get together with all of his pass catchers, tight ends, and receivers so before the OTAs and the minicamp so that they can, keep what he was talking about as like their momentum and their build on their offense going into the offseason. So he said all of the right things about that, and maybe this is accused me of being biased. I think he is too talented to not be able to improve on hitting the layups. Like the thing that Caleb Williams is more talented than a guy who completes 59% of his passes. He just wasn't this year. I firmly believe that he has the ability to improve on that.
Yeah, you would think that he has the ability to do that.
It would be shocking to me if he didn't.
But what we consistently talk about are the late comebacks, the crazy
the hero ball.
Yeah, the hero ball. That's what we talk about. And for him to be able to just do the mundane really well, that would elevate him to a different level.
I think it's coming. Let's go to Kansas City. Big news there. The Chiefs are bringing Eric Bieniemy back. Looks like he's going to be making a return as their offensive coordinator. He, of course, won 2 Super Bowls with Mahomes and the Chiefs last couple of years with the Commanders, UCLA, and then the running game coordinator for the Bears, who were the second best running team in the NFL last year. Coach, I'll go back to you here. What impact do you think this would have on Mahomes and the Chiefs?
I really like it. And you see a guy like Josh McDaniels goes back to New England 3 different times as the offensive coordinator, and the different success he's had each time. And with Eric, what's nice is obviously Andy has a real high comfort level with him, and they understand each other well. There's so many things that they shared together that you don't have to go through that learning curve between head coach and coordinator. And then Patrick Mahomes obviously had to sign off on this, and it's the same thing. When your best player signs off on your offensive coordinator, that's another huge step. And for Eric, what's great is he knows the system. He can bring other ideas in from places he's been, but there's no learning curve for him. He knows how mini camps run. He knows how training camps run. He knows what Andy likes from a meeting perspective. So they should be able to hit the ground running. And to me, this is a great hire.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think 2 questions I have is, one, how can he get the run game back up and humming? I think that was a big factor when they was averaging 30 points a game when he was the OC. And on top of that, how will he adjust to the new Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes, this is the biggest injuries he's dealt with in his career. I don't think he will be as mobile. I think you have to now wrap the playbook around what he can do in current time. Because when he was young Patrick Mahomes, he was a menace. He was the baddest in the land. I don't know what version we're going to get, so that's going to be an adjustment for Eric Bieniemy. And I think also, Andy Reid is he has the final say on what comes off the sideline, right? That was the biggest knock against Eric Bieniemy when he was looking for new positions was you had the install, you drew it up, but did you give the final say? It all went through Andy Reid. So how much power will Eric Bieniemy now have as the new OC coming into this campaign? So I like it. I love Eric Bieniemy. I've always been a fan of him. Obviously, I liked him as a player, honestly, when he was with Colorado. But overall, man, I thought he's done a hell of a job. Hopefully he could work with this time around.
So I've covered 2 NFL teams, like in the cities, the Chiefs and the Bears. So those are where I know most of the people that I know in the NFL. And the people in those organizations will tell you about Eric Bieniemy, that some of it is the coaching piece of it, like the stuff that you would traditionally think in an offensive coordinator. But you're right, Andy Reid calls the plays.
Right.
He might say that other guys, he calls the plays. But Eric Bieniemy is one of the great accountability coaches, that he coaches stars hard. Like Travis Kelce speaks on the impact that he made on him. He doesn't coach the tight ends, but Patrick Mahomes, he is a guy who coaches everyone hard and is very intense and all of that. And then the results are undeniable. And so we'll just show you the results because it's a lot of firsts. He's there during the firsts and he's not there during the middle of the pack stuff. But to your point, I don't really believe that is because they lost the genius of Eric Bieniemy. I don't. Is that a causation or correlation thing? I tend to think it is more correlation than causation. So I would have been interested in Andy Reid going outside of his circle of trust.
Well,
here.
can I? Was Tyreek Hill on that team?
For 4 of those 5 years at the beginning, that was a big piece of it.
I mean, so you're talking about explosive plays, and you're talking about dialing up things that can really fit the strength of that team at the time. This is a different roster, right? And so this is what he now has to be accompanied to. No run game and no explosive plays, and you don't know what's going on with Travis Kelce. Those are all question marks he's going to have to answer going into this.
Yeah, he doesn't have a magic wand, but it is a really good fit, and they should be able to hit the ground running.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think he's going right back to firsts. Like, I don't think Eric Bieniemy brings you back to firsts across the board, but I know everyone in Kansas City is thrilled to get him back.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.